Welcome to Angel Impact, the official podcast of the Wisconsin River Business Angels. Episode 28, The Power of Syndication, Part 1. Hello, my name is Aaron Marks, and welcome to another episode of Angel Impact. Angel Impact is the official podcast of the Wisconsin River Business Angels, otherwise known as the WRBA, and the WRBA is Central Wisconsin's only angel investing group. And I'm here with the leadership of the WRBA, like always. I'm here with Jeff Ebel. He's the president. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. And I'm here with Leon Ostrowski. He's the chair and the due diligence mastermind of the WRBA. How are you, Leon?
Just fine, thank you.
Good. It's good to see you both. And this is a really exciting episode that we're really looking forward to recording this one because we have a great guest with us. We have Brad Bodden, who is a co-manager of Wisconsin Investment Partners. Is that correct, Brad?
Exactly. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah. Hi. Well, it's really great to have you with us. And we have a conversation today about syndication because what one of the messages we like to put across about angel investing is it's better to do it in a group, which is why it's good to join a group like the Wisconsin River Business Angels. And it's even better to be in like a group with other groups, which is how syndication works. And there's strength in numbers on every level, and when you join forces with other angel investment groups in the network, then there's really just no limit to what you can do. So Brad is here to help us talk about that because the WRBA and WIP are really strong and effective collaborators in building the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Wisconsin. So we're really happy to have Brad here to have a conversation about that. So great to have you with us, Brad. Can you tell us? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here today. Been looking forward to chatting with you guys and formally talking about some of the stuff that we talk about on the sidelines quite a bit. But I'll kind of just give a brief background of who Wisconsin Investment Partners is, and then we can jump into the more interesting talk. But Wisconsin Investment Partners is kind of the equivalent of the Wisconsin River Business Angels, but we're based out of Madison, Wisconsin. They've been around for a little over 20 years now, and have a network or an investment group of angels that's around 90 members. We say that we are industry agnostic, meaning we'll invest in any type of company, but our true culture and passion is around Wisconsin businesses that we really want to promote, mentor, help, and sometimes invest in those companies.
Yeah, very good. And how long have you known Jeff and Leon, Brad? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, well, just my background with Wisconsin Investment Partners is I joined the group about 7 years ago now, and 2 years ago became one of the co-managers, and I do similar work to both what Leon and Jeff do. So 2 years ago, I think we met, and the great conversation, Leon, I think had just said, we're next door neighbors. It's nice to kick the tires once in a while and get to know each other a little bit better. So that started what I think was a good conversation that led to our, a lot of the work that we do together.
Yeah. And here's a question, and maybe that I have for all of you, and anyone can jump in and answer this, but how do different angel groups, learn about each other and find each other and realize they're a good fit for collaboration? How would you answer that?
Well, I can take that one.
Sure.
First of all, there aren't that many angel groups in the state. So,
okay.
But I think all or most of the angel groups are involved with the Wisconsin Tech Council. And I think they've done an outstanding job at promoting angel investing throughout the state, trying to keep investment dollars from Wisconsin in the state of Wisconsin. And we will have a good example of that coming up here. But usually they'll attend the early stage symposium. They're involved with the entrepreneurs conference in the spring of the year. And that's where we've met a lot of the other angel investors and the other angel groups from the state.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah, I would go back to the first angel group in Wisconsin in central Wisconsin that I was involved with about 15 years ago. The Central Wisconsin Business Angels, they were very helpful in getting us going and rolling. So they were always there to help whenever they could. So this goes back a number of years.
Okay. So you're saying that you're saying WIP was a resource for you when you were starting that
Yes,
group?
they invited me to their monthly meetings, and they brought some investments forward, which I then carried to our group, and we co-invested in some of those with our first group.
Okay. Yeah. So your relationship goes way back. So
Mhm.
yeah. Brad, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'd say the Tech Council, I'll sing their graces as well, because the events that they put on are great for us as groups because it brings everybody together. But it sets up an environment where we get to, talk to each other and the startups, because there's a lot of mentorship that happens with companies before we end up investing, or mentorship and we eventually don't invest too. Those are the ones that we seem to spend a lot of time on too. But
Okay.
I think it's worth mentioning the Tech Council a couple of times, just
Yeah.
because of the strength that they have, and making us a cohesive group in Wisconsin is critical.
Yeah, and the Tech Council has come up in some of our conversations and podcasts before, and so it's yeah, it's really great to have that organization doing the work that it does, and yeah, facilitating this collaboration. So I want to talk about the benefits of syndication, and I want to go around to each of you, and so WIP and the WRBA have syndicated on a number of investments, and we're going to talk about those later in this conversation, some of the specifics about that, but sort of a general kind of overview. What would each of you say are the benefits of the syndication between, and I might ask specifically the WRBA and WIP, even though you're going to see a lot of the same general patterns whenever angel groups collaborate and syndicate, but what are some of the benefits and some of the advantages that you've seen from this relationship? Brad, do you want to take it?
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Sure. Well, I'll use one of the companies as an example of where I feel like Wisconsin River Business Angels really dove into Pyran, a company that's a Wisconsin-based company. And I would say on the the strength of knowledge, detailed knowledge was on the engineering side and chemical compositions. WIP tends to have in its membership a lot of health technology experts, but on the chemical engineering side, I wouldn't say that it's our strong point. We do have some members, and because Pyran came to Wisconsin Investment Partners prior to me being a co-manager, just a regular member coming to meetings, I think that we didn't see the same things in Pyran that Wisconsin River Business Angels did, and you guys invested sooner than we did. And if I remember correctly, Leon was on the board, and with his detailed knowledge of that and just the interaction, Pyran's a great example of where the next time Pyran was raising money, those conversations continued, and now Wisconsin Investment Partners made an investment the second time around. Without a detailed relationship of the things that your group brings to the table, I don't know that we would have taken another shot at it, because it's there's a pretty heavy pipeline of good companies that come our direction, and there's the emotional side of things for investors, that once somebody comes to us and they don't reach that threshold of making an investment, it's mentally hard to come back again a second time and say, okay, I know you guys didn't invest last time, but now do you want to jump in? And I think that interaction and sharing of knowledge and details, just as even as we did off the air, some of those details happen amongst the groups, and it's a perfect example of where we benefited from the knowledge of Wisconsin River Business Angels.
Yeah. Well, thanks for telling that story, Brad. And what's one of the things that's notable to me, WIP is a much bigger group than the WRBA, and so you might think you'd have a wide range of expertise, or a wider range of expertise, but it's notable to me that even an organization that big can rely on a smaller organization to fill in expertise it doesn't have.
Well, it's a network, and that net gets really big because it isn't just your membership. I know that you guys are all attached to experts in certain areas and can draw on the knowledge of others as well. So I don't think it's the size of an organization that really means one is, specifically going to know about every single company, because that's too arrogant to think that. And if we're in the business to invest in good companies, the more knowledge that we can glean from anyone, it's a two-way street. That's why we communicate so well.
Yeah. So we're kind of into the stories about the the investment collaboration. So I think we can just keep running with that. Who wants to go next? Because we have a story about we have stories about two more companies. One is called Sealight, and then the other one is called Nurse Disrupted. And Jeff and Leon, we're each going to tell one of those stories. Jeff, why don't you go next? Why don't you talk about Nurse Disrupted? And I know you have some interesting some interesting points in that story that tie together a lot of what we talked about, and bring in some new things. So
yes, Nurse Disrupted was an investment we just closed last November. And Whip, I believe that you are also invested in Nurse Disrupted. We came across Nurse Disrupted through the Wisconsin Governor's Business Plan Contest. And this is actually the second company that we have invested in that we invested in the winners from their category. The first one was Pyran. And Leon and I were at the finals and heard the presentation. And Leon, I don't mean to speak for you, but I know that you were pretty excited about the opportunity. And when we first reached out to Kevin from Pyran, nobody else had contacted them, so we were kind of surprised because they did very well and they had what we thought was an excellent opportunity. But because of Leon's background in that chemical industry, we felt comfortable moving forward. At least Leon did. He brought me along with him, but we happened to be the lead on that one too, which was our first lead, and it was also our first investment from from Wisconsin River Business Angels. So that was the first one. And then Nurse Disrupted again was the winner last year, 2021, in her category. So she came in first place. We reached out to her and started the conversation, and it was she needed a lot of support. Because she was very early stage when she won her category. And there were some angel investors from down in Madison that actually got involved with her and really helped her move things along, especially preparing the legal documents that are needed. And it was a very good working relationship anyway. So we were pretty happy that she got that support. It was much more attractive to our investors. And we, like I said, we ended up closing that investment deal in November. So that, by the way, was one of the few total new companies that the total investment was from Wisconsin investors.
Yeah.
And we like to see that. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep Wisconsin resources in Wisconsin supporting Wisconsin businesses. Not that that's all we do, but definitely that, Brad, I think you mentioned one of your objectives is to try and support the local Wisconsin startups. So that was very successful in that regard.
Yeah, and that was unique in that not only was it within the Wisconsin borders, but we worked together, and I think there were a couple other angel groups as well as those two angels that put it together. So
yeah, I think her raise was 750,000. I think is what
sounds about right.
That raise was. She did very well.
Well, that's a great story that shows the power of syndication, around a broader vision, I think, because I think both WIP and WRBA are focused on growing the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Wisconsin. And so that's a great example of a Wisconsin company, as Jeff said, getting their funding entirely from Wisconsin investors. So getting closer to the vision with that story. And then the other investment we want to talk about was Sealight, and Leon, you were gonna tell that story. And this is a really interesting story that really demonstrates the way that these these collaborating investor groups can influence each other and show each other the way. So so Leon, tell us about Sealight.
Sure. Sealight was a company not from Wisconsin, but came to Wisconsin looking for money. And the question is, why not look locally where they're at? Well, it so happened that one of our first group investments, Dad, who was the president of one of our best investments, son was going to school in California and worked for this company and with this company. So he brought the lead to his dad, who in turn brought it to our angel group. And we looked at that company and says, what do we know about Sealight? They make a optical instrument that can look into your eye, look at the retina, and determine based on the movement and patterns of that retina over a period of time, whether you're going to gain dementia. And you can see it about 2 or 3 years before the doctors can diagnose it. So this was pretty powerful in my view. And this gal got her PhD on this instrument that could look at that, and then the algorithms to determine how this process changes over time. So we had no way of knowing whether this was real or not. So we went back to the Wisconsin Investment Partners and says, look, we think this is unique. We have a concern that it's coming to us in central Wisconsin. Maybe they can't get money out on the West Coast. So, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was, is it work? And does it sound like it has some good, solid technical basis? So in that particular case, WIP had the potential to understand that part of it for this opportunity, just like we did for Pyran. So through that organization, they had some meetings and had some discussions with the inventors. And lo and behold, they says they don't see any reason why this doesn't work. There's a lot of technology relating to eye movement, but nothing that relates to the retina and the cells in the back of the eye. And it turned out that the reason this was so important is that particular cell is about the closest cell to the brain from any of the functions that our body is performing and sending as signals back to the brain. So there's some sort of connection there that really was a powerful way to look into your dementia in the brain to see what's really going to happen now and in the future. Things like concussions are also part of that whole thing. So it really goes to a whole family of those diseases. And they put it in perspective for us. They decided to likewise say, this is worth investing, but why aren't they investing in this company out on the West Coast? And they says, well, we just didn't think about having to go there. It was more of, we're early in the game. And so we went to you. And I says, that's fine. So lo and behold, they did go out to the West Coast once we told them that we were concerned about that. And they says, well, would you like to invest now? We just went to a couple of companies here in the West Coast and they want to put $1 million in our company. And everyone got real interested, and the Wisconsin Investment Partners jumped on board. We delayed a little bit, but this new company that invested on the West Coast says, why don't you go for the full amount, which was like $2.5 million, so you can get all the way through the FDA process and not have to continue to raise money. And so they did do that. And lo and behold, another large investor came along for about another $1 million. And then they still needed several $100,000 more. So those Wisconsin River Business Partners jumped in on that second round. So we came in right after WIP did on that next round. So I think that's really important in dealing with these expertise that reside in all these groups. But I think there's one other synergy that's on a little different bend, and that is really our Wisconsin Tech Council. They are really synergizing among the angel groups. And as a result of that, we communicate with them on some of the needs and some of the things that are important to us. And that Tech Council has liaison with the legislators, and they form policies for the legislative to consider, the governor to consider. And as a result of that, they came up with this tax credit. So in many of these Wisconsin business, like Nurses Disrupted, Pyran, we get a 25% tax credit on every investment we make in those companies. And that goes as a direct credit off dollar for dollar, or on that 25% right off your tax bill for Wisconsin. So, that's a very synergistic part of the bigger group in dealing with the focal organization like the Tech Council and their ability to deal with the legislature.
Yeah. So Leon, you're saying that that the Wisconsin Tech Council, like through direct lobbying, was able to get that law that you're talking about?
Correct.
That policy. Yeah.
Yes.
And the Wisconsin Tech Council draws a lot of its strength and its power from all these different angel groups that
Correct.
that are involved with it. Yeah. Okay. That yes, that is a more subtle form, but a very important form of synergy, that flows through another organization, the infrastructure that we have here in Wisconsin. And yeah, I want to circle back to that Sealight story because I want to like trace it again because I think it's a great story. So this company, where is Sealight located?
They're located in California,
Okay.
I think around Berkeley.
Uh-huh. And they need to raise money, and you just through their network, they find people in the WRBA, right? That's where they
Correct.
went. That's where they went first. Yeah. And you guys didn't quite know how to evaluate it, is what I heard you say. And so you turned to WIP, and WIP said, oh no, this looks good. This looks like a good investment. We understand how this works and how this would grow, but why aren't you looking for money like closer to where you are? And so then they go to California and find quite a bit of money there, then come back to Wisconsin, and WIP says, okay, well now we'll get in. And then the WRBA says, okay, well now we'll get in. So that's a great story. Yeah, just shows you how the influence and the persuasion, kind of ripples, through the dynamics. Thanks for listening to Angel Impact, the official podcast of the Wisconsin River Business Angels. To learn more about the Wisconsin River Business Angels, visit the website at www.midwestwealthventures.com or find us on Facebook.